Hey everybody, welcome to Always Bored, Never Boring. Once again, I have had to reschedule the order of my videos on my channel because Games Workshop have released yet more information about Warhammer Quest Cursed City. In fact, today they have released a Warhammer Community article and a how to play video on YouTube. And I will be linking to that how to play video in the video description below because I'm sure everybody is going to want to go and check that out. However, before you do that, I just wanted to mention a few things that have immediately sprang out as being of interest to me. Firstly, one of the things that was debatable was exactly how missions were going to operate. Would you have a predefined map to explore, or would you generate the map procedurally by drawing from a card deck? From the previews up to this point, it looked very much like it was going to be predefined maps, but as it turns out, it looks like some inspiration has been taken from Blackstone Fortress Ascension, the last expansion for the Blackstone Fortress game, because in Cursed City you get a little bit of both. The way the campaign for this game works, there are 3 specific objectives that you have to juggle between. The main goal appears to be to kill all of Radukar's lieutenants. There are 5 targets that you have to assassinate. However, you can't focus specifically on that because there is also fear in the city that you have to manage, and then there is Radukar's influence in the city which you have to manage, and you are going to want to undertake quests to get more powerful items that will help you achieve all those other objectives. So it appears to be the case that at the start of a mission, or a journey as it is called, you get to make that choice. You get to look at the current situation in the city and think, well, fear is getting a little bit too high, so we should go on a mission to try and get that fear level down. Or you may think Radukar's getting too big for his boots, so you want to undertake a mission to reduce his influence. Or, if everything's a little bit relaxed at the moment, you might think it's time to assassinate one of those lieutenants. That means there are 4 very specific types of journey that you can undertake. The first is a hunt, which is an attempt to reduce Radukar's influence by killing minions within the city. You have a fixed number of minions you have to kill, and if you achieve that, then you will be able to reduce Radukar's influence. If you want to boost your power instead, you can undertake a scavenge mission where you explore the city in search of more powerful items. Where it gets really interesting is with the third type of journey, which is called Deliverance. In this type of journey, you do not have a preset map to explore. Instead, you generate a map procedurally by drawing exploration cards. And in these missions, you are being chased by an endless spell, a suffocating gravetide, and you have to stay ahead of that endless spell and rescue at least 8 people from the city in order to reduce the overall level of fear. And then finally you have the decapitation journeys, where you pick one of the lieutenants to assassinate. Once you have worked your way through all those characters, you can take on Radukar. It has a more fluid campaign system where every time you complete a journey, you get to pick what you're going to attempt to do next. It's kind of an evolution of Blackstone Fortress's stronghold system. But this time you're trying to balance those different objectives. You're trying to keep the fear level down, you're trying to keep Radukar's influence down, and you're trying to complete your overall objective of cleansing the city of his evil forces. And sometimes you will be fighting across a predefined map, but then sometimes you will be in a procedurally generated random dungeon. Which of course also means there is a random dungeon generation system in the box, which is going to be great if you want to do a one-off dungeon plunge and you just want to explore the city and beat up some monsters. That's the big revelation from today for me, and something I'm excited to see. But watching the how to play video, I did notice a few other things. Overall, the game is pretty much playing like Blackstone Fortress. Many of the rules are the ones that were developed in Blackstone Fortress, which of course were iterations from Shadows over Hammerhal and Silver Tower. But for people who played Blackstone Fortress, I do think there are a few minor changes that perhaps address some of the issues that people had. The first thing of note is that heroes now level up. There are 5 levels that they can work through. We saw that the other day when Warhammer Community posted an article on traits and how, as you leveled up, you gained access to additional abilities. But we can see in the how to play video that those levels also dictate how difficult a mission will be. When you are generating the enemies for a mission, you draw cards, and there are different levels on the card, and you spawn enemies based on the current level of your party. That's going to directly tackle one of the problems that many people said Blackstone Fortress had, which was that as you progressed through the campaign, you became very powerful, and the game got a little bit easier. The second thing of note is that weapons now have variable critical damage. I predicted this when they showed the character card the other day, but every weapon type has a split damage value. The first value is how much damage you will cause on a regular success, and the second value is how much damage you will cause on a critical success. That means it's not always the case that you're going to inflict 3 points of damage when you roll a critical hit, and in fact some weapons the critical damage isn't any more powerful than the regular damage. The third thing I noticed from the video is that it appears to be easier to remove critical wounds than it used to be. There is a basic recuperate action in Cursed City, and when you take that action you roll a dice based on your stats for recuperate, and when you roll a success you can either remove a regular wound or turn a critical wound into a regular wound, and if you roll a critical success you can remove 2 regular wounds or remove 1 critical wound. That means you aren't going to be stuck lumbered with critical wounds for a whole mission, and you're probably going to have less of those games where you get bogged down with too many wounds and it becomes a little bit of a chore, a little bit of a slog to get through it. Next up of note, there appears to be a lot more conditions in Cursed City than we have seen before. In the video they list stunned, fatigued, diseased and cursed. So our heroes are going to be facing a lot more than just wounds now. They're going to be facing other things that will impact on their ability to complete the missions. And I guess finally, because I've probably talked again for too long about Cursed City, it is worth noting that activations for enemies is now by group rather than by individual model. I know that some people complained that Blackstone Fortress had too much dice rolling for activations, as you had to roll for every single enemy on the board. Now you roll once for the whole group. That is very much as it was in Silver Tower and Shadows over Hammerhall, and that's going to make all of those combats a lot quicker. And I think games of Cursed City could perhaps progress at a faster pace than we saw with Blackstone Fortress. Although of course, that remains to be seen. But anyway, those are the things that immediately leapt out as being of interest to me. There was much more revealed in the video, much more to discuss, but I think I've already talked for long enough. As I mentioned before, I'm going to put the link to the how to play video in the description below. Everybody should go over there and check it out. I think it is worth a watch, and yeah, exciting times. This game is looking pretty good, I think. But what does everybody else think? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, please consider pressing the like button. If you've really enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing if you don't already do so. And hopefully, I'll see you all again very soon. Bye bye everyone. Bye bye.